I was going to say that the follow on was that he's stealing footage. His latest project, which was like some sort of it had some sort of highfalutin name. I forget now. It was something like called The Movie or something like that, or
The Wow movie.
the Wow movie, yeah. And it's basically all the sort of really hardcore, mad, gets loads of millions of hits on YouTube type footage that other people have made, of like parachuting or wave surfing or quadcopter flying and all this sort of stuff. And he was, he's made up this whole spiel about putting together this movie which has got all this footage in, and he's working with all these people. And what he's basically done, his trailer is made up of just YouTube clips of really famous, well visited footage, and it's just crazy to imagine that he's not out there flying quadcopters. He's not out there wave surfing, filming these people. He hasn't got a team of camera people. He hasn't built cameras. He hasn't built super aircraft to fly these things into outer space or whatever. All these fucking claims he's making, they're just so wild. It's almost like as if he's trying to push the limits of, will anybody actually believe me if I say this shit?
It's cuckoo.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear? Do you want to hear something really funny? He's like, "Oh, the Wow movie," and it's got all this footage from like in space and air and these like little drone cameras and everything. Me and a friend of mine, we are actually gonna go skydiving soon.
Mm.
And so talk about wow, woo. It's like I'll have better footage from my skydiving thing than he would on that thing. At least it's not stolen. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like me and jumping out of a perfectly good airplane is going to be at least original.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would imagine as well the reason that he's got a closed channel, it's not just because he wants to make money. You close a channel like that for a reason. It's because you don't want anyone knowing what's on that channel. Now, if I was to upload copyrighted footage or music onto YouTube, immediately, like the moment that's finished, that video is finished uploading, it goes, sorry, this is copyright somebody else, sorry, this music is copyright somebody else, and it just gives you a list of no, 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 and then you have to prove to YouTube, and you have to make a legal declaration you have the permission to use it, and the companies that own the footage are immediately informed that you're using it, yeah, and then you'll basically get a note from them whether or not they allow you to use it, whether or not you've proved that you've got permission to use it and you've maybe paid for it. Yeah. So that's all automatic. How do you get round that? Yeah. Well, you run your own fucking YouTube, don't you? You run your own little fucking video streaming service. Yeah. And then only people who pay and can log in get to see what's on there. Now, what's the fucking odds? I'm just putting this forward as a hypothetical situation, but I bet it's not too far from the truth, right? What's the odds that if you logged on and you paid, and if you were one of the lucky people who actually managed to see something on that channel, what's the odds? It's just counterfeited material from other people.
pretty good.
Yeah?
Because that's all it was.
Pretty good
Because
odds,
that's
isn't
all
it? Yeah.
because Matthew, that's all it was before.
And why is it a closed channel? It's not just because it's for subscribers only because he needs to make revenue. It's so that the people who own this footage never get to see that you're actually ripping it off.
Yes.
It's the perfect little
I can tell
crime.
you, I can tell you right now, he had videos on his channel that you could see other places for free.
Yeah,
Even Popeye from the forum has told me that.
yeah,
And I kind of, I don't know if Popeye, I should ask him if he used to be a subscriber to that channel, but that's what it was. I was actually shocked because when I was in this so-called relationship with Everard, he gave me a password to that channel. I never paid. I never paid to subscribe to that channel. He and his webmaster gave me a password where I could see that channel. And it was all stolen shit. I'm telling you, it was all videos. They had, oh God, they had
So they're basically not going to be paying the original people who produced
No,
this material,
no.
but he's charging money for you to see it. So basically then, if that was true, if this hypothetical situation is true, which I imagine it is, going by his trailers, which were all from other places, and his website saying that he was a fucking architect, which was all stolen from real architects' websites. If we're seeing a pattern forming here that this is how he operates, then basically, what that channel is going to be about, is going to be pirated materials, and so
That's what it was.
and I
And
wonder if he's even trying to put his name on the fucking credits. You know what I mean? He's re-editing stuff to make it look like as if he's part of this stuff, because I mean, how far does a person like this go? You know,
well,
you
he puts it on his channel,
you know,
and the channel has his name on it, and he basically, I've been so out of this truth movement stuff for so long. I can't remember the names of these videos on there, but there were some well-known so-called
fake credits,
truth leaders, truth leaders videos on there from when I was able to view the channel. Um, and and he was basically taking credit for it, like those were Enigma Channel productions.
Yeah, yeah. And, I know companies that do this. They kind of like, it's a film made by Warner Brothers, but before Warner Brothers comes up, about 7 different companies, like, and it's us, and it's us, and it's us, and it's us. It's like, well, who the fuck made this movie? It's like, it's a Warner Brothers made by Big Productions, made by Super Sky Productions, made by In Space with 7 people productions, made by Big Dog Productions, made by Paper, and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, get the fuck on with it. You're like, who the fuck makes this film? But what it is people who want to take credit for things. They just slap their title on the beginning, and it's like, yeah, we made that. They may have had like very little to do with it, but they slap it on, in the distribution chain.
Think about what Chris Everard does
But
to other
Chris
people.
is doing that
He,
with
he
a whole
actually
production.
he actually accuses other people of doing that to him.
Which is why he's doing it. That's what I'm
he's
saying.
doing. And
He's
that's
accusing people of stealing his materials. So that means he's a stealer of materials.
First
Yeah.
of all, Matt,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Every single thing that he accused, and I am telling you, God, I have a list somewhere. I don't know where I put it.
So we should
I-
look at all the things he says that people are doing wrong to him, and we should use this as a
Yes,
master list of what
I've
he's
said-
doing wrong.
Matthew, I've been saying this for 3 years.
You know?
Everything he accuses others of is what he's actually doing. And now you can take that one step further and go pedophilia.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing. And I never went public until a little over 2 weeks ago, and I finally let the fucking cat out of the bag.
And
I've
suddenly
had
he's
enough.
accusing you of it because you've brought the cat out of the bag, telling
brought
people
the
it's
cat out.
he's doing it. Yeah.
Well, I don't think he actually accused me of, ugh, that would be just be disgusting. I think he accused me of hijacking an investigation,
Yes,
which
that's
no,
right, yeah.
How does one hijack an investigation? I don't even know how one would do that.
Well, that's implying that you want to stop an
Yeah.
investigation on a subject
No.
like
In
paedophilia.
fact, if anyone would take the time to listen to any one of my videos about that all the way through, they would see that I want them. In fact, I say I want them caught. I want them in prison. I want them strung up in a public square.
Yeah.
Because I'm serious. If you mess with children or animals, you are a monster in my book. I do not tolerate it. And I told Everard that in Egypt. I'm like, if you are fucking, because I didn't know the laws about this research shit, and he was giving me this research lie. I have it on my computer for research, right? And I'm sorry, but I remembered the whole Pete Townsend thing, and Pete Townsend got off for research, and so I thought, well, maybe that is an excuse. I don't know. And then I thought, okay, fine. Pete Townsend got off for it, and then I told him, if I find out you are fucking lying to me about this, I am going to be the one to turn you into the police, and I am going to be the one to see you in prison. And don't you ever worry about that, because it's going to be me. And he left that hotel in Cairo sweating. He was sweating.
And it wasn't just an air conditioning situation, I bet.
I say we go line by line through this
Yeah.
fucking slander. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
And anyone who's listened for the first 2 hours is now going to get what we promised.
God.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, it basically says, you don't know anything about Hampstead, da da da, Mormonism, other cults, we've dealt with that, satanic, falsely accusing investigators of being paedophiles themselves. It has happened to me. Like acting like the, like the victim here. It's like, right, interesting. A woman who now calls herself Deb C. We've kind of dealt with that. You are Deb C. as far as I know. I mean,
Deb C. That's my name. That's my name. I am Deborah Cook.
Yeah.
Deb C is just a version of Deborah Cook that I chose for YouTube.
Yeah.
After he had my Facebook page disabled.
Yeah. So
he caused this. He actually caused this. If he hadn't have had my Facebook page disabled on February 12th, 2014, I would never have set up a YouTube channel. So he brought this on himself.
And how did he manage to get your Facebook disabled? Because I mean, I went on the rec.
I think he hacked it.
Right.
I don't really know how he did it, but the funny thing is in that false police report that he made about me, he actually admitted to having my Facebook page disabled. And the police actually thought that was kind of funny because he's admitting to a crime.
Yeah.
In a false police report. The police actually thought he was off his rocker.
Mm-hmm. And when he says Debsy infiltrated the offices, again, you see, here we go, right? It's like this. He's got offices of a television television network. Yeah. So what? Offices or a house?
Yeah, he has
What are we talking about here? Offices or someone's home?
He has a dilapidated house in the south of France.
A television network?
No.
Networks of television are normally described of things like a cable network or a national television network. Yeah.
No.
You can't call a fucking website that has a few videos, that has a few subscribers, a network.
It's a subscription internet site.
Yeah.
It's not a television network.
Yeah, I've taken this up with him years before I ever knew you, and the first time I ever met him, I said, I've heard about your Enigma channel. That's like some sort of low-res like video streaming thing. And he goes, no, it's a television channel. I said, dude, let's just like drop the television channel bollocks. Yeah, you're not a television channel. A television channel is something that's fucking broadcast.
And that's probably what put you on his shit list.
Yeah. And this was years ago, absolutely fucking years ago, when I didn't know anything about this conning stuff that he was doing. But I thought back then, if the guy is bragging himself up that much, back then I thought, I'm going to kind of keep an eye on this guy, just see what happens. And I forgot about him for years. And when he came back up on my list, the first thing I thought is, he's the prick who said he had a fucking TV channel. Yeah. It's he like, and it's bullshit.
It's no TV channel. Even at one point, his web programmer guy, the one guy that I've ever known, I have only ever known him to have one guy who was working with him, and I'm not going to say the guy's name. But even then, that's it. He does not have a television network. He only has a subscription channel. And then it says in this thing, are you recording this right now?
I am.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then he says, he says, Deb C befriended our staff. No, he has no staff. Yeah. It's just him. And at that point, when I knew him, he had one web programmer who was a friend of his. He wasn't an employee. It was just a friend of his doing some work for him, and that's it.
Remotely, he didn't come to an office. This is a guy who lives in a different place completely.
Different place,
like different country even. Yeah, I don't know.
Yes, let's just get that straight right there. He says Deb C infiltrated my offices. He has no offices of his television network. There's no television network. It's a subscription website.
That would imply that you were just infiltrating by coming to France, because how would you infiltrate his offices?
I know.
He invited you. He invited you to come to France, so that you
absolutely. And that's another video we can do. We can do a video of how he approached me on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I have all the messages and screen grabs of that.
So, like, infiltrating an office to me is like me going to London to like independent television, ITV, like a big, or like your sort of like CNN or Fox or something, and me like faking credentials or getting in with somebody, like getting access to areas I wasn't really meant to have access to,
Yeah.
or getting in on a friendly basis, maybe as a part of a tour, and then going off the tour and infiltrating. That's what infiltrating sounds to
Yeah.
me. It's like, so hang on, if he hasn't got an office and he hasn't got staff, who would you be infiltrating? You'll be infiltrating his house? Does this mean you came before you even knew him? You came to his house? No.
Yeah. When
You
I
know,
was invited,
you know.
and he invited me
So
to his
you
house.
infiltrated by invitation.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So he says, I infiltrated the offices. There's no offices. Television network. It's not a network. Befriended our staff. There's no staff. And was on the surface a wonderfully intelligent and helpful person. Well, the intelligent part, I'll give him that. But helpful, I don't know. Maybe I did. I probably did help him.
You extended your offer to look, to open bank accounts and things like that. But that's because of the conning side of things, where
Conning,
he
the
tried to
conning of
get,
it. Yeah.
yeah, when he
I,
says
I
when he
believed
says
his fake persona. I believed his fake persona that he was this empathetic, compassionate truth leader.
yeah,
And that's the fake persona he puts forth. And he's not that. Because when you get to know him, when you really get to know him, you realize he's anything but that. And then he goes on to say, and let's just go through this line by line. Okay.
we can see that she was strange and looked odd.
Oh yeah, looked odd. Okay, I don't know who else looks odd. Has anyone seen his cover photo and his profile photo on his Facebook page yet? And he's saying that I look odd. And
Is this the
yeah,
one where he's pulling the sort of like eyebrow stairs, like looking
yeah,
grr at the camera?
yeah. We could
Yeah,
see that she was strange and looked odd, but we always give people the benefit of the doubt.
yeah, right.
And who's this we? Who's this we?
Yeah, yeah.
We. And then he writes space hyphen space until she managed to abuse the trust we gave her, and now she is outed as a troll. I have never trolled anybody.
What
I
is
have never
what is
trolled
it?
anybody.
What is a troll when you're telling the truth?
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I know. All I'm doing, and the funny thing is when I went to the police about this, I said, do I have the right to make a YouTube channel about this? Do I have the right to make videos about this? Can I say my piece? Can I do? And they were like, yes, you have freedom of speech. And that's coming from my local police department. They told me I have every right to go forward with what I am putting forth about Christopher Everard.
Well, you're just warning people, aren't you? At the end of the day.
That's all I'm doing. I'm only warning people. I'm not slandering anybody because slander is false. I am telling the truth, and the truth is different than slander. So if he's trying to say that I'm a troll and I'm slandering him, no.
No.
I've never trolled anything. I don't go on other forums. I don't go on websites. I don't go on anything and slander anybody. I've never slandered anybody.
I think we've been fairly clear tonight to sort of say what we think and what we know. So I mean, like I've said, well, I'm not too sure about this, and you said no, I am absolutely sure, and
Sure.
you've provided evidence. I'm absolutely sure I've seen a fake website, that he created saying he was an architect. I mean, why would somebody do that? And saying they have a whole television channel called the Dream House channel or whatever. What the fuck? It's bullshit.
Let me, I just want to put this out here right now. Matthew is doing this for me as a favor. And Matthew is not to be touched in any of this. And what I am saying is not necessarily what Matthew knows or any, but he is interviewing me. And what I am saying is what I know to be true.
Deb is the expert. I'm just looking in this for research.
Yes,
Yeah.
Matthew is just interviewing me, and the reason Matthew has been slandered before by Everard. He's been slandered recently in the last couple of days by Everard, and we are putting forth this video to tell you our story.
Yeah.
Now, what I say is not necessarily what Matthew is going to say, and what I say I will back up. So do not go slandering Matthew because of anything I say. That's all I
Oh,
want.
but this is where Chris has met a, I'm a hardened fucking nut because I've had to deal with all this stuff to do with the crop circles. I know how to
Yeah.
take abuse. I know how to take threats. I know how to take fucking idiocy. And I always just do my research. It's like if somebody says this isn't this and this isn't that, I go, well, here's a page about this and here's a page about that, and I that's how I deal with things. I will say when I think it's conjecture and rumor, and sorry if I'm wrong. But unfortunately I think I've uncovered enough now to show that there's definitely something not right with this
There's no,
whole Enigma channel.
there's nothing right with him.
You know,
Nothing right.
and I mean the way that he can just invent stuff. I mean we're sort of like trying to give facts. We're scratching around, possibilities of why these things are facts. Yeah, but they're facts. But we're trying to superimpose a possibility of why would they be like this? Why would these horrible, shitty, dark facts be the way they are? But what we're not doing is we're not inventing bullshit. Yeah, I'm not saying like, oh, Christopher Everard. Yeah, he's really a fucking sports car driver who likes to race around the lanes, knocking over old ladies. I'm not fucking doing that. Yeah, we're not inventing stuff. This is stuff that is actually you can check
This
out.
is this is
This is
stuff.
real shit. Yeah.
This is stuff that I have either personally witnessed, and I would be willing to take a polygraph about, or it is stuff that I can back up
Yeah.
with documentation.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
police and law enforcement in multiple countries know that.
So
And
let's
let's
dive in then, and
dive in.
let's dive in.
Okay.
You
And
have embezzled cash from one of our bank
yes.
accounts by faking signatures and changing passwords.
No, not true. He conned me into opening up a bank account in America for him, which $86,000 went through. All of it was wired transferred to an HSBC bank account located in Chislehurst, England, using his sister's address.
Yeah.
Her name is Adelphine. And he's using his sister's address on his HSBC bank account. All of the $86,000 was wire transferred to him. I have all of the documentation to back that up. The police have seen it. And I even gave that to the landlord when the landlord was thinking he didn't have any money. I'm like, he had $86,000 to pay you with. But,
Well, probably spent on something, I expect, but yeah.
yeah, God knows what. And so anyway,
Here's the final line on that, though, isn't it? Hey, has she really? Oh, so you went to the police then, Chris? Did you? And you got her arrested and done for it, did you? Because she's been to the police. But have you been to the police? Because she is prepared to show what she has done in speaking to the police. She has the reports. Let's see yours, Chris.
yeah, and then he goes on to say that I am linked with a larger ring of trolls.
Trolls. Where's the evidence of that?
No.
Are you linked with like a group of trolls?
No.
What, me? That's me. What? People who've worked with him in the past, his landlord that he ripped off, are these trolls because they're telling their story? I'm the landlord he ripped off. What, he's a troll, is he? Because he's having a go at you. Oh, I'm somebody who worked with Chris. I'm a person who worked beside Chris, and I can tell you that, it's definitely what Deb is saying is right, and Chris is not a very good guy. What, is he a troll? Is everybody who just disagrees with you or catches you out for being a bit of a wanker, are we all trolls?
Yes.
That-
That's exactly what they are.
Yeah.
That's, anyone who questions him or even asks where their DVD is considered a troll. And he's been doing this for years, and he used to put them on
Good point.
he used to put them on lists of enemies, and he called those enemies lists, his Luciferian, Snides, and Weirdos list. And he's been doing it for years.
He has been attacking, I think this is mentioned on the forum, he's been attacking on the Facebook sites and people who've complained about him, like saying, where's my DVD? And he's gone on the fucking warpath with multiple Facebook accounts and, giving people hassle.
I got I got evidence where he has 20,000 plus. Oh, we'll get to that in a second. He has thousands of fake profiles on Facebook. Yeah,
Um,
thousands.
I mean, this guy doesn't let it go. If you say something about him, like, "Where's my DVD?" He takes that as like a personal fucking, like,
He
a,
takes it
a
as an attack.
slash, a
Yeah,
slash to his heart, and he
yeah.
will go after you.
Oh,
He will. He won't leave it go.
he takes it as an attack.
You
And
know.
like if you ask him, even if you ask him, even if it's not about a DVD that you didn't receive that you paid for, even if you ask him a difficult question that he can't answer, he takes that as a personal attack. I'll give you one for example. I was in France with him, and he was mentioning something that he worked at Abbey Road, and he was going on and on and on, playing the big peacock, and that he worked at Abbey Road, and he did the whole remastering of the entire Beatles library catalog, right? And
Yeah.
and then we were talking about, something came up on the same drive, and something came up about octopi, or what's the plural of octopus? I don't even know. But
Octopi. Octopi.
octopi. And I said something like, "Oh, there was this cute little bracelet in San Diego that I wanted to buy with this octopus on it, and it was like this little, it was a cute little thing." And he was like, "Oh, darling, you know that octopus, they're the only animals that make a garden." And I go, "Oh, well, you should know about that." I go, "You worked on the Beatles catalog, Octopus's Garden." And he was like, "What, darling?" And I was like, "The Beatles, Octopus's Garden." I mean, Google it, you guys, the Beatles, Octopus's Garden. And
Does it? I mean, I even know something. Does it? Octopus garden in the sun. Is
yes,
that the lyric?
yeah, I want to be under
In
the
the
sea.
sea, in octopus garden,
There
in
you
the
go,
in the
thank
sun.
you.
Yeah, even I fucking know this shit. Yeah, and I don't, and I'm not a fucking Beatle
Yeah,
aficionado in the slightest.
yes, he
And he
didn't.
didn't. He didn't know that.
He didn't know it. And then I said to him, I go, "You don't know," and this is how I said it to him. I said, "You don't know Octopus's Garden?" And he was like, "Darling, don't you talk to me in that tone." So I was kind of taken aback, and I just kind of sat there in the passenger seat because we were driving down these like country roads, and I was thinking, that's really weird. Why is he like getting mad at me for asking him if he didn't know? And I didn't have a tone. I didn't have a tone when I asked him if he knew about that song.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of weird. But this is to just let you know the demeanor and the character and the personality of the real Christopher Everard.
When you
Because
catch him out. Yeah.
yes, when you call him out on his bullshit, that he responds in such an aggressive manner.
Yeah.
Something as innocent as, "You don't know Octopus's Garden?" You know, I mean, I was freaked out, actually. So that's how he is. Now, if you ask where your DVD is, where's Spirit World 3, where is this, where's that, why don't you know the answer to this? And you wonder why you end up on an enemies list, that's why. That is why. But moving on, we're going to go line
Yeah.
by line and
So
get
this
through
this is the really interesting bit.
This is I'm
She deliberately hijacked an ongoing investigation into a pedo ring, marketing videos of pole dancing children, which were manufactured in furniture showrooms. That's pretty specific, isn't it? Somewhere in Eastern Europe. That's not very specific. So that's interesting how you switch from being very specific to non-specific. And she did this by thieving files from her correspondence. What? Hang on, we'll come back
okay,
to
first
that.
of all, yep,
and
yep.
and who were contributing footage and interviews and data to our documentaries. Well, hang on a minute, right? What you told me is that you saw some videos on his computer, yeah?
Yes.
And
Yes.
you've discussed your reservations about this with him,
Yes.
yeah?
I
But so you
first,
haven't hijacked his
no,
fucking investigations, have you?
no. I
So,
never
so, so
hijacked.
how have you ruined an investigation? You haven't gone to
Okay,
the police, you haven't gone to the sources, you haven't gone
no,
to
I
these
did go to the
Eastern European Eastern European producers of some sort of like pedo material.
No, no.
You haven't hijacked anything of his.
No,
But
I haven't. I don't even, first of all, I don't even know how does one hijack an investigation, first of all.
that
Now,
means you're trying to take it over or stop it.
no,
Well, you weren't trying to take over
uh,
his investigation, and you weren't trying to stop his investigation. What investigation?
no. Yeah, first of all, he's never investigated this stuff. Um, Now, this was back in,
But it's interesting how he admits that
yeah,
he is doing research into pedo ring marketing. So it kind of goes along with what you're saying. It's kind of like,
yes.
oh yes,
Oh,
I was doing this stuff, but for legitimate reasons, you see.
no, no,
So he's
no,
actually admitting he's doing this stuff, but for
no.
legitimate reasons. He's trying to
Yeah,
spin it round.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's trying to spin this. Now,
Yeah.
the real story is back in late October or early November of 2011. I was on the Egypt tour with Christopher Everard and the rest of the tour group. Okay, and there's a whole story there that we can go into later. But I found child pornography on Christopher Everard's computer.
Yeah.
Um,
We've kind of
it,
gone into this. Yeah.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
gone into this already. Now, what he said here, she deliberately, these are his words, she deliberately hijacked an ongoing investigation into a pedo ring marketing videos of pole dancing children, which were manufactured in furniture showrooms somewhere in Eastern Europe. Now, I have a video on my YouTube channel already going over the furniture showrooms and Eastern Europe. I want to discuss the pole dancing children. I have already sent Matthew via, I'm not going to say what, Matthew has it already, the police report. In this police report, um,
It's fairly safe because you know you're making it sound mysterious. It's just she sent it on Skype. God,
oh, I sent it on
you
Skype.
sent
All
it on Skype. Nobody's going to know who you are because you sent it on Skype.
right. Okay. Okay.
So it sounds mysterious. I don't want to
Well,
get in. We're
Everard,
dealing with a very serious section here. I don't want anyone to
no,
go like
no,
sending me files to do with this stuff on
no,
secret channels.
no,
No.
Everard knows my Skype. No,
Yeah.
Everard knows my Skype name, so that's why I blocked, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's fair. It's easy enough to say Skype.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
You're all
It's
right.
on Skype. So I sent Matthew this on Skype. Now, he has the page of the police report where I mentioned to the police back in February of 2014, and this was as a rebuttal to a false police report that Christopher Everard made about me. And the police found in my favor, all right? And this is a police report. Matthew has it. He'll post it in this video somehow. He'll do all that editing stuff that I don't know how to do. And it says, Deborah stated that she was with Chris in Egypt in late October or early November 2011. Deborah stated she was in their hotel room and logged on to Chris's white MacBook laptop. Deborah stated she saw a folder on the desktop titled Art.
Sorry, sneezing.
That was-
Sorry.
That's okay. Deborah stated she saw a folder on the desktop titled Art, and she decided to open it. Deborah stated she found 8 to 10 videos which contained nude girls from the ages of 4 to 15. Deborah stated one of the videos had a 4-year-old white female with blonde hair, fully nude, pole dancing. Deborah stated she got very angry and confronted Chris about the videos, and he told her that it was strictly for research and that he was legally allowed to have it for that purpose. First of all, research is not a justification for having child porn on your computer in any country that I know of. Deborah stated that videos had the date of 2005 for when they were placed on the computer. I asked, and first of all, let me add there, I didn't meet Christopher Everard until September 2nd, 2010 on Facebook when he approached me. And then the police report goes on to say, I asked Deborah if I was the only person she had reported this to, and she stated she had already reported the incident to the IC3, which is the government-ran entity which partners with the FBI and the National White Collar Crime Center. Deborah showed me a copy of her complaint with the IC3, which was issued with a complaint number, and you need to block that one out, Matthew, and it was dated such and such date. Also, in the top paragraph of this, when you're blocking stuff out, block out the contact at the bank up in the first paragraph, because I don't want to. make
I
these
will. I will send
things
you a copy of this before anything goes out, so you can watch it. And if I've made any
perfect.
mistakes, you can say, "Oh,
Perfect.
time," and I will delete. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
great, great. But then going on to this slander, um, then he's going on about pole dance. First of all, I never mentioned pole dancing children to anyone publicly on YouTube, on Facebook, anywhere. So right there, the fact that Christopher Everard in this the Tap blog, and he also had that Jackie woman post it on the Hampstead Research blog, which has recently been taken down. Right here is a screen grab, and you're looking at. I never said anything about pole dancing children publicly to anyone. That is admittance right there from Christopher Everard admitting that he knows what videos I'm talking about, and he
So he
knows
definitely had these videos.
he had them. Oh yeah,
That's yeah.
and they get worse than that. They're worse than that.
But it's
Yeah,
why he had
yeah,
them, and this is
yeah,
going to be the crux, isn't it?
yeah,
Why he says he had them,
yeah,
and whether people believe that or not.
yeah. He's a piece of shit. There's no justification for having even one video of child porn, one image of child porn on your computer. There is no justification for that whatsoever.
Well, if he was a serious researcher and he had some credentials in this area, i.e., proper credentials, i.e., he was doing this stuff properly, you would have probably known this because he would have told you. Or he would have told a lot of people. He'd have been, but then who would he tell? Because he doesn't know many people, as you say. But I mean, he would have said, well, hey, I'm researching child porn stuff. It's really dark and I've had to see some stuff I really don't like. I mean, that's the type of thing I'd be telling. I would tell people
They
that I
wouldn't
knew.
have it, they
I,
might be
yeah,
let's say if he is a proper person with proper credentials and
you
he's researching this stuff, he would not see it on his own personal computer, and they would not be dated 2005. He would have done,
true,
yeah, and
but
no, they would not be sent to him. He would see them in the offices of the FBI, the offices of the MI5.
that's
What
true.
he
Yeah.
would not have these on his personal computer, labeled in a folder labeled art.
Art, yes. We
Yes.
discussed this earlier on, but what I'm trying to get at here is that he could have these files, but I doubt very much that these organisations would ever send them.
Never.
They
Never.
would ever send them to a
Never.
member of the public.
No way.
And
No way.
and if they did, they would stand up in backup Christopher Everard. They would say, well, actually, yeah, we had to send these files to him because he is a real researcher in this
No,
area,
it's not.
and it would clear him. It would clear him, but that isn't going to happen, is it?
No.
We both know this. We
No.
both know that they're not going to say,
He is
yeah,
not
we sent him
research-
these files.
He has no researcher credentials. He has no journalistic credentials. And first of all, I don't even think journalists are allowed to see these things. I really don't. I think they're allowed to see things with like cropped out areas and that's it, and still that's it. I
Well,
don't think real journalists are allowed to see.
oh,
what
they
is-
wouldn't send you materials like
No.
that if from official sources for you to preview, and sort of
No.
like work on in your research. But you could have downloaded them yourself.
Oh,
but
I'm sure
but
he
then
did.
but then that means that it wasn't sent to you by who you said it was, because they're not going to send that sort of stuff out, because you'd have to be a very, very closely tied investigator with
No,
the
he's not.
FBI, and if they can't come forward to say that this material has come from them, and of course using Ted Gunderson, as you say, a guy who's dead, it's like plausible deniability. It's like what do they call that? UK. We got this big scandals at the moment with paedophile ministers, MPs, MP in the British government, and there's a guy, Benjamin Britten, is it like that, I think, and he's supposed to be a big paedophile, and it's like, it's just convenient, when they die, then the police will actually start to do the investigations on these people, and when they're alive, oh no, you can't investigate them. When they die, it's like, oh yeah, okay, we can investigate them now. It's like the same thing happened with Jimmy Savile. I don't know if you know that name.
Yeah, I know that name.
Yeah, because I mean, you're from the States, so you're not
Well,
really
I
familiar.
know that name. No,
Yeah.
I only know that name because of Christopher Everard. Because when we were in that Clarendon Hotel in Blackheath, the whole Jimmy Savile thing when he died
Yeah,
and everything. This is what's
just
hilarious.
about coming out, was it?
This is hilarious. We had just gotten back from Egypt. We went to London. We were in the Clarendon Hotel in Blackheath, which, by the way, Christopher Everard skipped on the bill there, and they're still looking for him.
No way.
Yahweh, Yahweh. They
Jesus
were even
Christ.
they were even mailing his residence in France, trying to get the money. Anyway, that's right after Jimmy Savile had died. And I remember standing there and I'm like, oh my God, who is that ugly guy? And he was like, oh, that's Jimmy Savile and he's a pedophile. Christopher Everard knew that about Jimmy Savile before it ever made the news. Now, this is where it gets really interesting because Christopher Everard also defended a man named Jonathan King, who is a convicted pedophile who molested 20,000 boys in his career.
What? That's
Yes.
like too many to kind of even. How could that be possible?
Yeah. Oh no. I look it up. Look it up, Matthew. 20,000 boys were molested by Jonathan King. Christopher Everard, in a post, and I have a video of it on my channel, actually. Christopher Everard defended Jonathan King and said his crimes paled into insignificance compared to Jimmy Savile. Well, why would he say that? He would say that, I don't know, because Christopher Everard is friends with the guy who helped produce the movies of Jonathan King, a guy named Paul Kevin Whiffen.
Oh,
Yeah. So Christopher Everard was defending a pedophile at the same time he was, basically saying stuff about Jimmy Savile, which I don't care. Say whatever you want about Jimmy Savile, but don't defend a pedophile over here just because you have a mutual friend. And why do you have a mutual friend with a pedophile? Christopher Everard has a mutual friend with a convicted pedophile who's molested more than 20,000 boys. And then I have found child pornography on Christopher Everard's computer. So do the math.
it is a bit circumstantial, but I can see where you're going with it. I mean, there may be connections. It's worth bearing in mind, isn't it? That's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Oh, and then the funny thing is that he backpedaled. A few weeks later, he backpedaled and he said something on a Facebook post like, "Well, maybe I was wrong about Jonathan King." After I made my video. Isn't that funny? So he backpedaled. And all of that can be substantiated by date, like when he made that first post, when I made my video, and when he backpedaled.
Yeah.
Right there. But going on line by line through
Yeah.
this.
I'm just interested to know how he's got details like this was from Eastern Europe. I mean, he knows details about these videos and what they're about.
When I confronted him about what I saw on the in his art folder on his desktop that contained the child pornography, I confronted him about it, and he said those were from. He actually said the Ukraine. That's what he said, and now he's saying a blanket statement of Eastern Europe. Yeah.
Well, yeah. He obviously there's something going on there. He knows more about that stuff than he's saying.
Yeah.
How he knows that is questionable. Maybe only he could answer that. But it is interesting how you say. I mean, the stuff has been 5 years is a long time to kind of be like investigating this without doing anything with it, without revealing any information about it.
Try 10 years. 10 years. These were uploaded onto his computer in 2005. It's now 2015. It's been 10 years. And now all of a sudden he's the pedophile expert, right?
Yeah. 10 years, and he hasn't released a video on this or any research or anything in his books, or not books, is magazines, if you can call them.
Nothing.
Self-published magazines. He hasn't revealed anything that of his larger scale investigations that would lead him to know details about these videos like that. Which
for the last like 8 to 10 years, all he's been doing is like demons and Satanism and Goetia and grimoires and his usual Christopher Everard spin, his demonic spin on everything. And then all of a sudden, it's been, boom, pedophilia. child pornography.
Yeah,
Boom.
because he's been exposed, suddenly then it's a real official investigation he's been doing because it's been brought out into the public. And the funny thing is he hasn't even denied it. He's just gone, yeah, yes. And it's like, oh
No,
God, this is the weird thing. It's like if I was doing an investigation into this sort of stuff, I'd have something to publish probably within a year. I would reckon something. I mean, unless his investigation is so deep, dark, and in depth that he's actually getting involved in it, in which case, that would be kind of interesting, an underground investigation on that level. But I mean, what is he doing? Just watching watching loads of videos.
He doesn't have any journalistic credentials whatsoever. I mean, nothing. He sits alone on that filthy, stinking vineyard that's unkempt, overgrown, not even clean. No one is there with him. He is all by himself, and he claims to be this investigator. Bullshit. His idea of investigating is dark web shit and Google. That's all he does. That is all he does with his time. And I'm sorry, he trolls for victims on Facebook and the internet. That's what he does. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna sort of like end my thing on this because it's only supposition. But I would end this on sort of like, if he was really doing that stuff, he'd have a lot of friends to back him up. Mm-hmm. And they would maybe be people who are real investigators or people in official positions, because you don't do this sort of stuff unless you've got backup, because otherwise when the spotlight shines on you, you can't say, well, I'm a lone investigator doing this investigation on my own. Where are you going to get information? Where are you going to get leads? Where are you going to get back help? Where are you going to do that stuff on your own? You don't do this sort of stuff on your own. It's dangerous to do stuff like this on your own. And you usually tell other people what you're doing whilst you're doing it, because you need other thoughts. You need other kind of like back people to sort of go, well, did you think about this? Did you think of trying this? Did you look here? Did you, so there's going to be a whole raft of people that know that he was doing this and would say, yeah, we've known he's been doing this and he's okay. So what I want to see now, what I would want to see is from him, he's admitted he's got these materials, What I would expect him to say now is, and here's my raft of people and their names to back me up that I'm really doing a real investigation. If he hasn't got that, he's a liar.
Oh, these people are going to run like crazy from him right now. No one is going to want to be involved with him right now.
Well, if it was true, they would stand by him. But if it's not true, they will run.
It's not true, because these things were time-stamped 2005.
Yeah.
2005. He never mentioned this stuff until a few years ago. That's it. I mean, he never touched that subject. Yeah. He was all about demons and the Goetia and Freemasons and all this other crap, right?
Yeah.
He never broached this subject at all.
Okay.
He never made a DVD. He never made a magazine article. He never put anything on his little freaking subscription channel. Nothing about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about this next line then? Since 1998, I've produced and directed hundreds of television shows.
No.
And many 2-hour documentary films. You see, now that's probably a bit more truth, you see. He's saying, I've directed hundreds of television shows. That's the bullshit. And many 2-hour documentary films. Yeah, that's the truth bit. The bit that isn't the truth is the hundreds of television shows.
Well, no, that's not true, because they're not really films. They're DVDs. They're videos.
Well, I do take umbrage with people using the term film when it's just a piece of fucking video, yeah. A film is a film, i.e. it has actors and you have locations and lights and crews and, a film is a film. I know people misuse this one, but yeah, technically, documentary film. Michael Moore has made documentary films, yeah. Mm-hmm. They're on location and they use crews and they're shot well and they're edited well and they're films and they've become shown in a place called a cinema. Now, I don't want to go into it because I've taken this up on the forums, but they're not films. And if you show them in a cinema, now he says he's shown his stuff at Cannes.
No, never.
Everard says he's shown his
There's
stuff.
no record of it. He's also said
Movie festivals all around the
he
world. He
said
says
he
bullshit.
said he showed his he said he's a member or he showed his
Royal
footage,
Society.
the Royal
Sorry,
Television Society, the
cutting you
Royal
off.
no, that's fine. The Royal Television Society, and he has not. You can actually go to the Royal Television Society's website, and their archives go back to like the 50s,
Yeah.
okay? And there's no mention of a Christopher Everard, Chris Everard Jerkay, nothing, nothing. And they have records of everything on their site. There's no mention of him. He is a liar. He has never been to the Royal Television Society. And then he goes on to say, well, he says, since 1998, I have produced and directed hundreds of television shows and many 2-hour documentary films. One series is called The Illuminati. Ugh.
And it's fucking rubbish, really.
Yeah,
Excuse
rubbish.
my review. My cook
No.
review there is
That's my review
rubbish.
too. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It's rubbish. And it exposes many Satanist cliques. Okay.
Does it? I mean, I maybe like picked up
No.
on like some stuff that you could easily pick up on the internet. So therefore, if you expose stuff that's already out there on Google and everyone knows about it, then you're not really exposing it. It's not brand new
No,
information.
everything that's told, everything that is shown in his Illuminati series, it was already out there on the internet anyway. And then he goes on to say, this Deb C.
Yeah, quote, this quote, Deb C, because that's not really who you are. This Deb C.
Yeah.
I mean, does he actually really expect people to, like, go, oh, she's not real, you see. Oh, look, he's trying to, she's not real. She's not real. I'm not speaking to you right now.
I know. He's saying that like that's allegedly my name. My name is Deborah Cook.
Yeah.
And on YouTube, I go by Deb C, as in Deborah Cook. It's hardly a fake name. Mm-hmm. I'm hardly trying to hide. And he says, oh, she calls herself Deb C on YouTube. Oh, like that's a problem. Half of his friends on his friends list on Facebook have fake photos and fake names.
I love the next bit though. I mean, it says this Deb C found me after watching. Now this what he says now. This words is him trying to put spin in a story talking negative bullshit about somebody else, but he's actually trying to put an ad. This is an advert, right, for his own material, right? No. This is actually a veil advert, right? He says, this Deb C found me by watching, right, advert, it starts here, counterfeit versions of my films online, many of which had been uploaded with important parts, important parts edited out, so that the public failed to learn the deepest secrets, right, repeat, deepest secrets of these cults, repeat, deepest secrets of these cults. You see, so what he's saying is, don't watch the fucking uploads that you can get free on YouTube of my videos because they've got bits missing that are real important bits.
And
so
Matthew,
you should buy them from me.
And you know what he always says? He always goes on his Facebook page and he says, my films have been banned from YouTube. No, dickhead, you took them down yourself.
He goes on hunts for people who've got copies of his videos on the internet because he doesn't want people up there.
He goes crazy. I mean,
and then he says these people, which you can add probably 5,000 people might have watched a video if you're lucky, a couple of hundred here, a couple of hundred there. Add all those together over the years, and you might come to maybe what would you say would be a reasonable estimate? Maybe 100,000 people. He's saying 42 million people have watched my videos on YouTube. So therefore, I'm owed 42 million times the copy price of my DVD. That's how much I've lost. No, it's money you wouldn't have made in the first place because these people are just browsing around the YouTube, It doesn't mean they would have paid you fucking 18, 20 pounds for your DVD. If it's there on YouTube and it's free, they'll watch it. It doesn't mean they were going to pay you fucking 20 quid. But he goes, no, that's money I've lost. No, it's money.
Really?
It's money. It's money you never would have got in the first place, motherfucker, as you put it.
And how many times does someone click on something on YouTube and they go, oh, I don't want that, and they click off in like one split second? Does that mean they owe him money?
Yeah. Or they watch halfway through and they go, "What's this cheesy crap?" With Illuminati, where he goes, "Let it begin," like as if like as if he himself is doing some sort of like fucking ceremony of the Illuminati,
Oh,
like
I
it's like.
really,
I
think
am now closing the circle of the Enigma channel around this production, which is now about to begin. Let the energy come down from the sky into the circle of the Enigma channel to let the production begin.
yeah, well, that's the
Fuck
funny thing.
off!
Thank you, Matthew.
Fuck off!
Thank you so much for bringing that up because have I ever
Fucking
done that?
bullshit.
I mean, I know my videos are like, I don't know how to work these programs and everything, but my videos are pretty, bad. But they're up there for the information and at least
Yeah.
they're honest. Now, am I like going into deep, dark shit? No.
No,
But
if we wanted to do it
you
Christopher
want-
Everard style, we'd just take 3 things you said, 3 sentences, and we'd repeat them, and then I'd put fucking flames going up the middle going,
Yeah.
with title saying, "And then she said," and it's like, and then flames, and then don, 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 don,
and
don,
then
don,
this-
don,
this
don,
is-
don, 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 and you're thinking, hang on, I've heard quite a few don, don, dons now, stop, and it's like, but don, 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 don. It's like, hang on a minute, who the fuck is playing around with the fucking synthesizer here? I mean, like, stop it. It's a sample shit. It's bullshit. Don, 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 don. It's like, these flames, man. Get the fuck out. You've been using the same flame through the whole fucking video. Have you only got one fucking flame? Don, don, don. Let it begin. And you're thinking, like, who is this prick? Who's this prick? Who is this prick? Who brought this prick up?
But then he wants to go on in the next.
Did he have a normal family upbringing? Who is this prick?
Yeah, he wants to say that I had some occultic family upbringing.
Well,
I'm
you
like,
have, yeah, according to him, yeah.
yeah. Okay. But I mean, where did we leave off? Hold on.
Hey,
I'm
this
watching
woman. It says Lex line, right? Yeah, this woman was found out to be an absolute fake. Nice, right? This woman was found out to be absolute fake. I would like some brackets there and like 7 paragraphs of why she was found out to be an absolute fake.
Yeah.
Why are you found out to be an absolute fake? It's an interesting thing to say, but why?
Yeah.
Why? Right? And to abused her trust at the Enigma channel. What, his house again?
Yeah, it's not. I know. His house.
You abused his trust at his house.
First of all, show me a pay stub with my name on it that says that I was an employee of yours.
Yeah.
Show me that. Show me that. I was not an employee of yours. You fucking relationship scammed me, Everard. This is
Hang on a minute. Hang on. Didn't he say earlier on, this doesn't make sense. Hang on. I'm just working this out now. Didn't he say that you gained access to his television channel where there is no television channel? Didn't you infiltrate? Yeah.
Yeah.
So how can you infiltrate when he says you have abused your position of trust?
I have no idea.
Hang on a minute. If you were given a position of trust, then you didn't infiltrate.
Well,
Oh,
there you
hang
go.
on a minute. So he's flip-flopping here, right? So he gave you a position of trust, but actually you were infiltrating. Whoa, hang on. That doesn't make sense, does it? I mean, and since she was outed, she has appealed. When were you outed? Were you outed? You outed him, didn't you?
I was the first one to go public about him, November 27th, 2012.
Since she was outed, okay.
I outed him.
She's appealed to employ hackers. Well, hang on.
No.
I think he's got multiple Facebook accounts because I've sussed out numbers of them. This is a guy that likes to sort of lurk around the internet. I've never really found Deb to be kind of that way inclined, but he is an internet stalker.
Yeah, he is.
He's got multiple Facebook accounts. I mean, when I started slagging him off, loads of these people, which were all him, started like posting comments on my YouTube channel, like clicking dislike on my videos. It's him because none of this stuff has happened over like periods of 5 years. I've never had this happen, right? I start talking about him within a day of talking about him. It's like all these people coming on under different names, going, "Oh, I think your videos are shit. I think you do," and it's like fucking, and it's him because there's nothing of that nature has happened in that time scale in that way until I pushed his button. Yeah, so it's him.
Oh,
So
I'll give you one better, Matthew.
Yeah.
When I first added him to my friends list back in 2010, I added him late September, and then he started contacting, oh no, sorry, late August. He started contacting me on private messages September 2nd of 2010. As soon as I added him to my Facebook friends list back in late August 2010, I started getting messages from transvestites.
And that, you got a question then, like,
I,
is this alter ego
I
material
started,
here,
I went to bed
for
one night.
somebody?
Yeah, granted, I was like kind of new to Facebook. I didn't really I was kind of naive and gullible and stupid, like I say everyone else is, but that was me too. So I'm not insulting just you guys. Okay. I don't mean this is a blanket insult to the whole truth movement. I was that way too. But when I added him to my friends list and I started getting friend requests and messages from transvestites, I went to bed one night going, who did I recently add? Who was that? Who was that?
Yeah.
You know,
I know exactly where you're coming from with that shit.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
it, don't you? You just know it.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was bizarre. I
Yeah.
mean,
I've had it happen.
and then the funny thing is I was so naive and gullible, I just kind of wrote it off. I just kind of put it over there and I didn't want to think about it. And, because Christopher Everard is this truth leader, right? And I didn't want to think that it was anything related to him.
Yeah.
And so I kind of brushed it aside. I went through almost 2 years of brushing things aside with that man until I finally saw what I saw.
Yeah.
And realized this shit has hit the fan. Pardon my language. I tend to cuss like a truck driver when I'm angry, but I couldn't take it anymore. I knew what he was. I already kind of knew he was this little con man over here, but I thought that was the least of it. And then when I found what I found on his computer, I was done. Yeah. And all I was figuring out how to do is how to get away from him.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. But I mean, basically, then now we have to employ what we said earlier on, which is like he will always use what he's doing against other people. So let's read this next little bit and see whether or not we think this is possibly him talking about himself. Right? It says, since she was outed, well, you weren't outed. Since she was outed, she has appealed to employ hackers.
No.
She was actually hacked and created many Facebook profiles on Facebook and has since been banned from the Facebook network and now haunts and stalks using proxy servers and fake profiles. Now, that's weird. He knows all that. He knows all that technical jargon there, right? And I'm wondering whether or not, in fact, we could say this is Chris Everard, right?
That's what he's doing.
Chris Everard has employed hackers. Chris Everard has actually hacked and created many fake Facebook profiles. Yeah, Chris Everard has since been banned from Facebook, probably has because he's been caught out many times for harassing people. And now he haunts and stalks people using proxy servers and fake profiles. Yeah, I can quite imagine Chris Everard doing that. Actually,
well,
yeah.
First of all, I know. Okay, I've never employed hackers. In fact, a few people have made comments on my YouTube channel about hackers, and I'm like, I don't condone it. It's illegal. I don't do anything illegal. I've never broken the law other than a speeding ticket or a minor traffic violation. I've never broken the law. I don't have any criminal record whatsoever, and I don't condone any criminal activity. Now, hacking is criminal. And even if someone came to me and said, I could hack him for you, I'd be like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. I don't condone it. Don't do that. Go away. Mm-hmm. So that's not me. Then he says, has actually hacked and created many fake profiles on Facebook. Nope. That is not true. But I know for a fact that Christopher Everard has about 20,000 plus fake profiles on Facebook that I have found out, and I found that out February 12th of 2014. And the police know about it. And
how would he have that many and keep track of what he's? How would he keep track of something like that?
I really don't know, but he's actually accused me of using some sort of robot app. So he's probably using a robot app. But Matthew, if you look in the police report, the paragraph above where I go over the child porn, it talks about his weird sort of spider's web of 20,000. Uh, it doesn't actually say the number 20,000, but it says it talks about his weird spider's web of fake profile on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and what I think it is.
Okay.
So read that over yourself. Um,
Shall we move on? And
yes, absolutely.
I tell you what, I need to stop the recording because I'm at 1 hour 11 minutes, and for safety reasons, I better pile this off into a file.
Perfect. Because it's funny. I'll admit it. I'm a total fucking computer dork.
Yeah.
I don't get this stuff. I really don't get this stuff, and all I do is claim to be honest, and that's it. You know, I don't claim to be anything I'm not. I'm not some film producer. I don't have a channel. I don't have a this and a yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're recording now, so I'm gonna do a joke that'll probably only mean something to people from the UK, but it's from a thing called Bow Selector, and I'm gonna say, "Can I get a rewind?" Yeah, and that means we're gonna go back over what we just fucking dealt with. Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but it sounded funny.
Bow Selector. Bow Selector, can I get a rewind? It's like he does Michael Jackson, and it's like it doesn't look like Michael Jackson at all, you know. And it's like he's just behaving like a complete idiot, but he's like, that's Michael Jackson's character, and then he does. He basically has these plastic faces made out of rubber, and they don't look like the original people at all, and they don't even act like the original people at all. But it's like, but that's who they are. That's who he says they are. You know, so it's like he does Ozzy Osbourne, and Ozzy Osbourne's got like huge hands. They're like fucking enormous hands, and he's like, "Hello, I'm Ozzy Osbourne," and he's like, hands are going around the place, and it's like, yeah. Anyway, but so I've explained too much now. You'll have to have a look. It's called B-O, Bravo Oscar, Bow Selector, Selecta, Selecta, Bow Selector. And it's very funny because it's just a really big piss take.
I will Google that.
Yeah, for a bit of fun. What we were saying is that the reason that you don't actually have your picture on your YouTube videos is not because you're hiding your face.
No.
It's because you just don't have a fucking clue how to use even an apple. You don't even know how to use even an apple. Right, there we are then.
I know. Basically... Okay, this
perfect Apple user then, basically, aren't you?
Yeah, and I know we're getting our.
Perfect Apple user.
I know. I am like the perfect like poster child of your all anti-Apple videos, Matthew.
No. You buy the materials and you know exactly how not to use them, which is great. That's what they want.
It's true. It's totally true. Okay. First of all, and I know we're jumping ahead of ourselves. Are you recording right now?
Yeah, that noise you're hearing is the recording. No, it's my fan. It's my little handheld fan trying to sort of fucking stop myself going into heat stroke territory.
You just keep recording. Just keep it on record. Yeah. But no, I know we're jumping ahead of ourselves. But Christopher Everard in recent days has made a point to say that I don't show my face. Well, the reason I don't show my face is because I know enough about the Apple computers, Apple Macs, to do my job as a graphic designer. That's it. I don't do motion stuff. I don't do web stuff. I don't do anything like that. I do print work. I've never ever ventured into video until late February of 2014, when I had to set up a YouTube channel. And
that was just literally so you could tell people and show them at the same time whilst you were talking about it, wasn't it?
Exactly. And so what I did was I started doing screen recordings of what I wanted to show them and evidence and like, you know, and get this stuff out there and expose Chris Everard for what he is, a charlatan, a fraud, a criminal, and a person who has child pornography on his computers. And that's what I wanted to do. So, this is not what I use the computer for normally. So that's why I never really showed my face. But then in recent days, the last couple of months, someone on YouTube, I think a few people on YouTube, and Christopher Everard made a big deal that I don't show my face. That's not true. I do show my face in still photos. You can see who I am. I've sent photos to Matthew that he can put up today. Those photos were taken of me while I was on the Egypt trip with Christopher Everard. And
Now, they was taken with me and you when we was in Egypt, but my arm round you because we's really lovers.
yeah,
No, it's not true.
I know. It's so gross.
I's got all the naked pictures. Fuck you, Chris. Sorry,
Um,
joke.
no, but it's just like, this was never like my intention not to show my face. It's just because I wanted you to see the information. I'm a private person. I'm not up there to show my face. No offense to anyone who does. If you want to show your face in a YouTube video, that's great. Go do it. But that was just never my intention. Like, hey, this is me over here.
Well,
Look
it
at
is an
me.
added level of pressure. I think that anyone who knows about these things, if you're not used to it, I mean, you got to get used to it, and you're doing it in a hostile environment way. It's kind of like if you had your own like little web thing and you kind of had friends and it was all nice and you kind of but jumping in at the deep end to go like, here's my face and I'm talking about this guy. I mean, I can understand why using the voice is much easier than doing it, and there's understandable reasons. People will balk against it, but I mean, hey, Chris has got photos right now on his fucking blog page of Deb C. And he goes, she doesn't show her face. Well, hang on. You're publishing photos of her on your blog page. They're your photos, Chris. So she doesn't show her face. Well, you're showing it for her.
Yeah,
So there you go.
and the funny thing is that photo that he's showing was taken of me after we had been arguing about what I found on his computer, and I had been crying. I had been sick for 9 days in Egypt. We had just traveled from Egypt to London, back to France, and we had been arguing about that. He had given me his lame excuse again, and his excuse for having the child pornography on his computer seemed to change every time he talked about it. And then he gets out his camera and he starts snapping pictures around his so-called studio, which is just basically the second floor of his house in France. And I didn't even know that photo was taken. So yeah, you might say I look pissed off, or you might say, oh, that's a woman who looks like she's been crying, or she looks angry, or she doesn't look like she feels well. It was recently posted on the Hoaxstead blog that someone said I look like I'm bored.
Hoaxstead? What's that?
Yeah, the Hoaxstead blog is the opposite of the Hampstead research blog, and they're the people, I guess, from that town that. This is all new to me as of like the last 5 days.
Right. Okay.
So the Hampstead blog were the people who were, I guess, going up against Hampstead, and the Hoaxstead blog are the people who are going up against Chris Everard and this Jackie woman, whoever she is. And that's pretty much all I know. I mean, I'm not up to speed on this whole thing at all. But, and someone on the Hoaxstead blog said she just looks bored in that photo that Chris Everard took of me. But I have posted photos of myself in videos. I don't do video of myself just because I really don't know how, but I post a photo up every once in a while, like this is me. And, but.
Hey, and he says like your COINTEL Pro and all this sort of stuff. I mean, he counts himself as being so fucking important with what he does. Even though lots of other people are doing it, like, we're talking like thousands of other people are out there doing videos that are pretty much exactly the same as his.
I am so tired. I am so tired of any.
But each one of these persons who does a video on the Illuminati, or each one of these videos, like on Lady Diana, anyone who does a video like that, they've all got a fucking COINTEL Pro person assigned to them who will actually visit their house, become like, emotionally involved and then fucking screw them over. But after they've got them to open bank accounts and do all these things and show them that they got child porn on the computer. Then these people are then the problem. Whoa, hang
Yeah,
on.
I'm so tired. I am so
That's a
tired.
good scenario. I can see how that scenario works. Not,
Yeah,
yeah,
I know. This is where I have had enough. And I know you and I have had this conversation before, and you said, I get it that you're angry, but not everyone in the truth movement is bad. But this is where I am so tired and disgusted with the truth movement, because as soon as you call them out on their bullshit or their criminal activities or their child pornography activities, then suddenly that person is COINTELPRO.
instant.
That person is a honeypot. That person is the enemy. And I'm not the enemy. I am just trying to point out the facts. And I am not COINTELPRO. I have never been in, I mean, as far as I know, COINTELPRO is someone who's been employed by the, CIA? I've never been employed
Yeah,
by the CIA.
and
I've never
why
been
that's
employed.
more stupid is because if you were a CIA operative, you're
I'd
now
have to be
blown.
fucking in jail. If I was
You're
a
blown.
CIA
You
operative,
can't be used again for anything ever again.
yeah, he would, that if I was CIA, he would already be in jail. Already be in jail. He would have been in jail before anyone even knew it. I wouldn't even had to go public with it. He would have been in jail. But here I am, a normal person trying to, you know, maintain my privacy as a normal citizen, and that guy is still running free.
And hey, right? I mean, he's not denying that you had close contact to a him, what he considers his studios and his offices, which don't exist. But he admits that you have had that close contact with all that stuff, right? And then he turns around and says, "Well, they tried to fuck me over because I I was kind of like duped into this sort of stuff." Hang on, who invited who?
He invited me.
He invited you.
Yes. First
Yeah.
of all, he
He
approached
found
me.
you.
First of
He
all,
invited you over
he
to his house.
yes, he approached me. He approached me on
Yeah.
Facebook.
He showed you
Yeah.
what he is like as a con artist. He
Yeah.
showed you that he rips people off, like the landlord he rented the stuff off, and never pay. He showed you all his tricks, his dirty tricks.
He bragged about
He
it.
showed you
He bragged
everything. So it's almost like as if he wanted to show you everything about him that was bad.
about it.
And I would argue, that that's him grooming you, not you not you. What was the term he used? Infiltrating. That's not you infiltrating him. That's him. He can't fucking wait to show you what sort of person he is.
Oh, he
Yeah,
brags about it. Are you
yeah.
kidding me? He loves this stuff. He brags about this to anyone who will listen.
He thinks it's really clever. He drives, he hasn't got a driving license. His cars aren't registered, all that sort of stuff. Right? These are things that could easily get him in trouble. And he shows somebody that's he hasn't known him very long. He's met him on the internet. And he shows them all this fucking shit about himself. And guess what? When it gets to fever level, when you actually see stuff that's really bad, yeah, and you go like, whoa, yeah. He thinks, oh shit, they're not actually like my little slave, my little minion, yeah. They're not my slave. Oh, they might say something about me. So he starts attacking you, right? And in order to fuck you over even more, when you're saying, please don't fucking use my bank accounts, he's going, oh no, I'll fucking use them. I'll use them even more. You're begging now for me not to use the bank accounts. I'll fucking use them even more, which to me sounds like Mr. fucking cunt to the max, yeah? And when you actually go, look, I've had a guts feel, public, help me, police, help me, right? He goes, no, shill, like lying about me, they're the ones involved in all this stuff. They're the ones that are doing all this fucking stuff. Whoa, this is just classic. I mean, it's absolutely fucking classic. And I think anyone who bothers to scratch beneath the surface of this, not what we're saying, double check what we're saying. Anyone who scratches beneath the fucking surface is going to see a very sad fucking bloke. Very sad.
Oh, I'll give you one better. I'll give you a little tidbit into what he's like, just like a little insight into his daily activities. He has CDs of Scottish music already in his cars, so that if he's pulled over in France, he will claim to be Scottish rather than British, and that because he says the French hate the British, So he'll claim to be Scottish rather than British, so that they'll let him go when they find out.
Got it
When they
all
find
planned
out,
out. Got it all
no,
planned
he
out,
has
isn't
it
he?
all planned out. He
Yeah.
has these CDs in his Jag and his Range Rover of Scottish music, so that he can play it if he's ever pulled over by the cops in France.
Do you know? Do you know? I mean, why not just get your fucking driving license? It's not that fucking hard. Yeah.
Probably because to get a driver's license, you have to provide an address and a location, and I think he's actually wanted in the UK for criminal activities.
Oh,
So he can't give his location. He can't get proper ID. I mean, when we were in London after Egypt and we went to the British Library, here we are. He traveled from France to Egypt. I came from America to Egypt. I met him there, right? And then we go from Egypt to London. Then he wants to go to the British Library. He wants to go into the rare manuscript room. He can't get in because he doesn't have two forms of ID. And I look at him, I'm like, you're not traveling with two forms of ID? Because I'm thinking, like, who doesn't travel with two forms of ID? You know, I had like 4 forms of ID on me. And so I was able to get a British Library reader's card, because that's what they're called in the British Library, because you can't really check things out you can read things, but you can't check them out. Like in America, you can take a book home. You get a reader's card at the British Library, and you had to have a minimum of 2 forms of ID. He didn't have that. He only had a passport. He has no driver's license. He has no other form of ID. I've never seen a driver's license from him. I've seen his current passport and his older passport that has the chop out of the corner. The one that's, what is it called? Expired.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. And he's been nowhere except for in and out of Japan.
And you told me, you told me he's very scared. He says he can't come to the United States for some reason.
No.
Is this correct?
He actually told me that, because I mentioned something to him. I said, well, why don't you come to the United States? And he says, oh, darling, I'd probably be arrested at the airport.
And one wonders why.
Uh-huh. I asked him why, and he changed the subject.
I mean, I personally don't want to come to the United States, because even though I've had some nice times there and some really nice people, overall, I don't really want to be in the United States. There's some things about the United States I don't dig, and I wouldn't really want to be there. And I'm glad when I get home. You know, it's kind of like, it's fun to kind of like look over somebody's hedge into like a different country, but it's not a place I'd really want to live. All those guns, all those police, all that fucking angst, you know. Not my place. But you know what? If somebody fucking said to me, I need you to be in the United States, and it was a good enough reason, I got my passport, I'll fucking go there tomorrow.
There you go.
You know,
you go
not a
there
problem. Not a fucking problem.
And Matthew, you are invited anytime you want.
Thank you. Tucson, Arizona. It
Phoenix.
sounds Phoenix, sorry. It sounds fucking hot, and I'm suffering in my bedroom right now. And you told me it's like about fucking 100 degrees hotter than my bedroom. No.
Now is not the season to come here. That's
Just one more reason why I don't want to come to the States. It's lovely, but if you're not living in an air-conditioned car, which is when I came to the States, I was in air-conditioned cars, and I was like, yeah, this is great. I'm looking out of my fucking car. You get out, and you're like, oh, fuck this shit. I'm getting back in a car.
Yeah.
Fuck it out.
The time that you want to visit Phoenix is probably like October through January, February, around there. And then it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You'd love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we get back to the ball?
Let's get back to line by line.
Yeah, okay. Deb C has now been exposed as having links to other cult members who are both...
Wait, no, we're missing a paragraph.
Oh, it is a victim.
No, where it says...
She told me that her childhood... Oh, yes, you're right. Sorry, I skipped that. She told me during her childhood, her father showed her pornographic and unsuitable adult films. Well, is that true?
No.
Never happened?
Never happened. And I will tell you right now, if you go back to the Truth Frequency radio show of February 9th, 2014, you can hear Christopher Everard say those exact things, except he changes pornographic to inappropriate. So over the course of a year...
He says them about you, or he says them about somebody else?
He says that about me. That is the radio show where they slander me for more than an hour. Chris Geo, Cherie Geo, and Christopher Everard. Chris Gio is not his name. It's really Cristobal Castillo.
Yeah.
Cherie Gio is not her name. It's really Cherie Vodak.
Right.
Okay? And it's Christopher Everard. For more than an hour, those three slander me on internet radio, and they say that my father showed me inappropriate movies, right?
And if he had, that makes him a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad person. So what's the
Well,
fucking what's the
yeah.
point
Then,
behind
but
that?
my point is
I mean,
that
it's
in a year and a half, inappropriate has now become pornographic.
yeah.
And that's how Christopher Everard works.
But he's inventing an artificial fucking reality for you
Yeah.
that you haven't told him this in
No.
any way. Have you ever told him that your dad showed you horror movies or things that?
Oh no, yeah, this is what's kind of
So
funny about
maybe is this being misconstrued? Perhaps I don't know.
No, he's embellishing, and this is and keep in
Right.
mind, this is what he does with his research. This
Yeah.
is what he does with his DVDs. This is what he does with his Facebook posts. What
Yeah.
he takes something and then he explodes it 1,000 times.
Okay.
Now,
So go on
now
then.
what
What did your
happened?
dad show you that? Do you mind going into this?
No,
What
I
did your dad show you
absolutely.
that was, like off, a little bit off? Then what was
When
it?
I was a child, and I don't remember when the original Amityville horror movie came out, but it was what, 1976, 77, or 78?
Yeah, yeah, I saw it when I was a kid, and
Yeah.
they're scary movies, aren't they? Maybe not suitable for kids, but we sometimes manage to end up watching them somehow.
The
Yeah,
thing, the thing that happened is that the whole family wanted to go see this movie. I happened to be the youngest. We all went, and that movie gave me nightmares
oh
for
yeah,
years. The original, and I know I'm going to sound like such a dork right now,
yeah.
but that original Amityville horror movie gave me nightmares for years.
Much better than the new remakes as well. I mean, was it
No,
Amityville Horror where he goes the well, the gateway to hell? Is that
well,
the
I know, and
Amityville Horror?
I
Because
never saw
there was a well in the basement, remember? And
Yes.
somebody gets possessed for a moment, and they go the gateway to hell.
Yes, in the original one,
It
they
was
say
all spooky.
like,
That freaked me out
yeah,
when I was like, see that.
Find a well. It's the passage to hell.
Yeah,
me out when I was a kid, and the
yeah,
blood dripping down from the walls, and oh, it's
yeah. I can go
crazy.
with that. Yeah,
I just didn't like it at all. And as a child, and I was like very young at that point when that movie came out, and that scared the crap out of me. And he asked, and the funny thing is that Christopher Everard asked me, what was the scariest movie you've ever seen? And that was what I told him. I said, when I was very young, we happened to go see the original Amityville Horror, because I knew that there had been a remake, but I hadn't seen it. I
yeah.
hadn't seen the original, the remake of it, and I'd only seen the original.
So
And
again, then what he's done is he's taken one half, because if you split this
yeah,
down, he says pornographic, which isn't true, and then he
no,
says and unsuitable adult films, which could include horror, if you wanted to be, if you
yeah,
wanted to kind of, say, well, it's suitable for adults, it's not so good for kids, it's not saying pornographic, but he's tagged on another bit. He seems to do this, and he goes like, oh yes, she was taken to Disney World, but she was shown porn there. It's like, see, it's like, hang on a minute, no, she was taken to Disney World, but she wasn't shown porn there. It's like, he's like, he
but
adds, he
this,
doubles up on things. I can see
but
he
that's what he
keeps
does.
doing this. He keeps doing this. He
He
doubles up on the so-called facts. Yeah.
takes a little bit of truth, and then he embellishes on it and makes it
Mm,
into this like crazy lie. And that's what he
mm.
does with his DVDs. That's what he does with his magazine articles. That's what he does with his Facebook posts. That's what he does. He
Okay. So
takes these things, and he is a liar,
yeah. Well, I
because
mean, he's definitely bragging it up, isn't he? To make his point. So,
yes. And then
did
he
you see
goes,
demons? He says you
oh,
saw demons. She saw demons covered in glossy tar sticking out from the corner of her room one day.
okay, yeah, okay, this is where it gets really weird. Okay, first of all, Christopher Everard likes to drink cognac and Armagnac, and he
Yeah.
likes to smoke pot.
Yeah.
And we were, and this was one day, one evening, and he had lit a fire, and he had poured cognac, and he had started smoking pot, and he asked me about my nightmares. And I said, yes, I've had horrible nightmares in my life. And he was like, oh, darling, what's your most horrible nightmare? And I said, oh, God, I had this horrible nightmare. And okay, first of all, a nightmare is different than saying she saw. This
Yeah.
is a nightmare. This is like something you have when you are asleep.
Okay. So
And
he's just completely misconstrued that one then.
yes. And I said, I had this nightmare where I saw these demons, and it wasn't demons, actually. He's using the word demons. They actually looked like these weird little creatures that came out of the corner of the room. And that was it. And they looked like they were like wet plastic. I didn't say they were dripping with tar. I didn't say anything about tar. On the radio show, he goes into this on that February 9th, 2014 radio show on the turd frequency. He says that it's something to do with my grandfather working in the oil industry, and but that was his analysis of my nightmare. But on the radio show, he says that that's what I thought. But no, that was what his analysis of it was. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Okay.
And
Well, we can quickly skip on then, because that's bollocks, isn't it?
Yeah,
Well,
it's
your
totally
your
bollocks.
grandfather was a 33-degree Mason
No
who
way.
intimated that his final ritual was, quote,
No.
shocking.
No.
Shocking!
No.
Right, was it?
No.
Was he even a Mason?
My grandfather was a Mason, but he was not a 33rd degree Mason. No.
Oh, so
And
he's
my
got that wrong. Right, okay.
And my grandfather actually did not want anything to do with it. He didn't like them. He didn't like the Masons.
And his final degree ritual was shocking.
No.
So, but I mean, if he left early, he wasn't a 33-degree Mason then, so he must have left when he was like something much lower down. Yeah.
Lower. And first of all, my grandfather never talked about the Masons, and my grandfather died before I ever got into any of this truth movement stuff, so I never had a chance to ask him about anything Masonic.
So you haven't really said anything about him encountering a shocking ritual?
No, because he never talked about it. I never even asked him about it because I didn't know about it, because I got into the truth movement after he was already deceased.
Yeah, okay. So Chris is taking the fact that he was a Mason and he's layered on 33rd degree and shocking evidence, right, which isn't true.
When
Okay.
most probably my grandfather was probably one of the lower degrees.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, right, I mean, again, I'm not going to dwell on it, but I mean, he says that, your father showed you unsuitable films. Well, that's not your fault, is it? That you saw demons covered in glossy tar. Well, again, even if that was true, which it isn't, it's not your fault, yeah. And it's not proof of wrongdoing of anything from you. And he says, and your grandfather was a 33-degree Mason, and he had shocking rituals or whatever. Well, that's nothing to do with you, I mean, if you told him it's nothing to do with you, and then he goes on right in the next sentence after all this like irrelevant information, he goes to say, and Deb C is as much a criminal as she's a victim. Well, hang on a minute. I mean, none of the above is anything that you have done wrong, yeah? So why does it make you a criminal as much as a victim?
Well, and then he goes on to
Are
say,
you criminally involved in experiencing the Amityville Horror? You criminal! You
No.
fucking criminally watched that movie, and you had bad dreams, and you fucking criminal! How dare you watch that movie? You had bad dreams now, you criminal! I don't understand. What's his point?
I don't.
What's the point?
And then he goes on to say, just one of the many hundreds of thousands of cult children. Okay, first of all, I am not a cult child. No one in my family has been involved in any cult.
Well, you still.
No.
I mean, I many times I've spoken to you, and you said like, "Oh, my mum's coming over" or something like that. Well, you wouldn't be like all pally with your mum if she was a cult fucking monster, would you? You'd be like, "Fuck that shit, stay away from me, you cult monster," and you'd be like, "No, so cult."
I have a close relationship with every single member of my family. Every single member of my family. I have a close relationship with all of my friends. And I will tell you right now that because of this Chris Everard slander from the last 3 years, it has just made my close friends closer and my family closer to me.
Yeah, they're
It
probably concerned, that
yeah.
you've been kind of fucked with, and they just
Oh
want to
yeah.
sort of make sure.
Oh, they're pissed. They're
Yeah,
angry as you know what. I mean, they're first of all, they love me, but they're also very angry at what he's doing. And yeah, I mean, you can't get any angrier of people than my family and my close friends right now. I mean, they're livid.
yeah. I
Yeah.
know how you, well, I don't, as they say, I don't know how you feel, but I have felt things that are maybe akin to this because, like, when I was the blue-eyed golden boy of paranormal research, everyone loved me. But the moment I started to make crop circles, boy, did the fucking knives come out, and the stuff that's been said about me, which is not true. Oh wow, and it does make your friends get closer, and the rest of them just go like, oh, and move away, and you kind of know who your friends are. You said this earlier on; it's absolutely true,
It's
and
totally
you
true.
know,
When the
I,
shit hits the fan, you really realize who cares about you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's hard. This is why I've bothered to go to the lengths to try and talk to you about this and sort of put it down in writing on the forum and get other people to kind of interject that have had experiences and know something about Chris. It's kind of like to kind of just build a picture here. And yeah, I mean, I don't suppose I'm not proud of having done it, but I think it needs to be done. It's not I'm not reveling in this at all because I do realize as well. I mean, I'm drifting off here, but I do realize that when you catch a fucking rat, when you corner a rat, that's when the rat gets fucking nasty. And the old saying is you corner a rat, and it'll go for your face. It'll jump at your face. It's pretty sad, but unfortunately, I think there's a good possibility here that we've caught somebody out. But the bad side is as well. I'm kind of concerned that the end product of this is either going to be maybe that they get in trouble, which is what probably needs to happen, or that something bad happens, which is what I don't want to see happen.
Well,
But
Matthew, no, no, no,
because
I just want to say this.
but desperate people do desperate fucking
Yeah,
things.
I have always said that desperate
Yeah,
people do desperate things, but I
yeah,
want to point out the fact that Matthew has been helping me. So this
yeah.
is not on Matthew. And if someone wants to go after someone, you come after me. You do not go after Matthew because Matthew has done this as a favor to me, and only because he was slandered in the last couple of days on this particular post that was posted on two different websites. So if someone wants to go after someone, you come after me.
Yeah. Well,
And I'm sick
I'm
of this
just
shit.
more concerned about I don't want to see you slandered, and I don't want to see him do something
Now,
stupid by
I,
being cornered, because I mean I think he needs to be cornered. But I don't want to see him
myself.
do something fucking stupid.
I will corner that motherfucker myself.
Mm,
Seriously, I will. And I don't mind saying it. I have been trying to corner him for 3 years. Matthew has not. Matthew has only done this as a favor to me. Now, if he wants to come after someone, come after me. And I'm sick of this shit. I'm tired of it. I want that motherfucker in prison. And I'm cussing like a truck driver right now because I do that when I'm very, very angry.
Well, I think it
I am
deserves. I
tired of
think
it.
it deserves the authorities kind of like taking some interest, because you've brought a number of things up over
Yeah.
the last year, which, if got into the right hands, they should be asking questions like, where is your driving license? I mean, like,
Yeah.
why have you got these cars parked on your premises if you haven't got a driving license? Is somebody else driving these cars, or do they belong to you? And if they belong to you, then how can you drive them without a driving license? It's like, it's just simple questions like that. And I think those kind of things need to be asked, because if he's I mean I haven't mentioned, and you haven't mentioned, we've just suggested, because let's go with just the facts, ma'am, isn't it? But it's like, he's not liked in his local town, and there's a reason for this shit, and what he's doing here with you and me, he's probably doing with a lot of people, and he may even be doing it with people in his local town. And the thing is, he can get away with it on the internet, but he can't. He's probably learned he can't get away with it in his own town. You see,
Well, it's so funny. It's like if like Matthew, if you were to go visit Christopher Everard in his local village, well, first of all, he lives outside of the village. But when, let's say he took you for a drive into the village and you went into that village with him, you would be looked at like, what the hell are you doing with that guy?
They'd be like, fuck.
They would literally look at you like the enemy. Okay? But now, if you were to come visit me in Phoenix, Arizona, I could take you to my local coffee shop. I could take you to my local restaurants. I could take you anywhere, and they'd be like, "Hey, how you doing? Oh, great. Hey, Deborah, how are you?" And it would be like a normal person. I have never experienced that in my life, and I remember the first trip I made over there, and I saw that, and I actually felt bad for the guy. I thought, "Oh my God, they hate him," and he made up this whole long thing like, oh, they hate me because I'm British. That's what he said, why he was hated in his little village. They hate me because I'm British and I'm rich and I could own them. That's what he said. I'm British and I'm rich and I could own them.
Well, that's not a good attitude to go in. I mean, yeah, I can kind of see how because I can see, he's got the Land Rover, the Jag, and things like that. I've got my prejudices against like those types of vehicles, even, and sort of, maybe they're unfair, but I can kind of see how people, they've got status-based ideas, like, if I drive this, then I'm better than you, which means I can do things you can't do, and it's like I really disagree with that type of mentality, but I can see how it works, and anyone who sort of like lords their money over other people, especially in a place where you can buy a cheap house, which he's probably done, because his money would be worth nothing in the UK, he would be a nobody, but like take your money from the UK and go to southern France where like, people will sell you a house cheap and you get all the land with it as well. And it's like suddenly you're a somebody, and to fucking lord that and to say like, yeah, fuck these locals because they got nothing. I can fucking my money.
Matthew,
fuck them.
Matthew,
I think fuck you. Fuck you. That's bullshit.
Matthew, Christopher Everard refers to the people in his local village of Vies, France, as peasants. That's what he's done. Since I first met him, that's what he has referred to them. He was in a grocery store.
Why would he want to live? Why would he want to live in a place that's full of fucking peasants?
That's what I asked.
Why would you want to do that? You surely, that's.
He said it was because of the climate. He said he used to have a house in the mountains, and it was too cold, and he lived there for less than 1 year, and then he bought this vineyard, and I use that term loosely because it's not a vineyard. It's a filthy shithole.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm appalled, and I know we've gotten off topic, but I'm sorry.
I mean, I can't understand why, the guy lives in a fucking place that he slags people off and he's driving, he's like you say, he's taking the fucking piss, and it's like, yeah.
And the funny thing is when I went over there thinking that this is some guy who is like, he's not as big as like Alex Jones or David Icke or anything, but I thought he was like big, prominent leader in the truth movement. And I expected like pristine home, like, I don't know. I just expected English gentlemen. Yeah. And I was appalled with what I got. I was just appalled with it. And there's more that I could go into, but I'm not going to go into it here, and I'll go into it with you at another time.
Well, you may have got exactly what you asked for, because like English gentleman is not always what it's supposed to be, is it? So yeah.
For us Americans, you're thinking that you're going to get like I don't know, like
Sherlock Holmes or something. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I'm sorry, maybe I'm just a dumb American, but I just expected something else.
Yeah, you were expecting Sherlock Holmes, but what you really ended up with was fucking Benny Hill. with a gold researcher badge. Yeah, going down, running around like after No, I'm not going to make suggestions, but yeah, like fucking running around after the nurses, like.
Let me
Yeah, right.
let me just say, Benny Hill would have been a welcome surprise to what I actually got. Yeah. Yeah, it was not good.
So right then, according to the next paragraph, then you are a cult member. This is like it compounded now as like fact. Because the previous paragraph referred to it, then the next paragraph must be correct, and and has now been exposed. Debsy has now been exposed as having links to other cult members who boast of being, quote, administrators for Michael Aquino, who himself has been accused. So this is like trying to now say that you are in some way now part of what is now about to follow, right? Okay, so he's now been accused of a named pedo abuser at the Presidio Naval Base, where several daycare children contracted sexually transmitted diseases whilst supposedly being cared by professionals. So what he's trying to say is that you, right, are in fact a pedo abuser. Presidio Naval Base, several daycare children contacted sexually transmitted because of you. Is this what? Because that's what it. I can. The way that gets constructed is trying to like lump you in with somebody who's done something like that. Yeah.
I will tell you.
So,
exactly.
have you sexually transmitted diseases to people at a naval base?
Have I? No.
No, duh. No,
what?
duh.
No.
No, duh.
Boy.
Yeah, right.
Basically, what this is referring to is Christopher Everard and his little minion, Chris Geo of the Truth Frequency Radio. Chris Geo had a man named Douglas Dwayne Dietrich on his radio show a few times. One day, he had Douglas on, and he only had him on for maybe like 10, 15 minutes until he quickly shuffled him off the radio. And then Chris Geo came back on the radio and said, "We don't care for divas here at the Truth Frequency. Douglas Dwayne Dietrich is a diva." Well, I happened to be listening that day because I do listen to these shows because I like to keep up with what Geo and Everard have been saying and slandering about me. So I happened to be listening to that. And the funny thing is Douglas Dwayne Dietrich, that's a tongue twister. Douglas Dwayne Dietrich was on my friends list. And this had to be prior to February 12th, 2014, if someone wants to go and get that radio show, if they want to listen to it, where Chris Geo calls Douglas a diva. And Douglas was on my friends list on Facebook. Now, my friends list on Facebook, I had people on there that I didn't know from real life, and Douglas was one of them. I don't know Douglas from real life. So I sent Douglas a message. Actually, I think I might have posted it on a comment. And I said, they just took you off the Truth Frequency. They called you a diva. Boom. Within 5 minutes, I'm being slandered by the Geos and Everard for just saying that Douglas was called a diva on that radio show. Now, Douglas used to work with Michael Aquino at the Presidio Naval Base. He's one of these people in the truth movement, and he's exposing this stuff. Do I know him? No. Do I know what he's about? Not really. But the fact that they called him a diva on the radio show and he was on my friends list, I did warn him.
So again, you're not what is he's saying? You're not an administrator for Michael Aquino.
No, not at all.
So is this other guy quoting to be an administrator for Michael Aquino?
Wait, let me see what it says.
Okay, it does actually say, it says exposed as having links to cult members. I mean, what? He's on your Facebook page?
No, I think Douglas...
You had him on your Facebook page, so you're linked to him.
I had him on my Facebook friends list on my page that Christopher Everard had taken down.
Okay, how did you manage to have this guy on your Facebook page in the first place?
I honestly, I don't remember who friend requested whom, but Douglas was never a problem on my Facebook page. I was never a problem with him on my, it was just like, how when you're in the truth movement and then all of a sudden you get like David Icke on your
People
Facebook.
wanting to face.
Yes.
I've
You
been
get,
really careful with these lately because I don't know some of these people, and I'm like,
yeah,
why do I want to say yes to people I don't know? I just send them a message back saying, "Do I know you?" And they
yeah.
don't, and they
And
never
that's
respond. They never
smart.
fucking respond.
And that's smart. But
You know?
I could have actually friend requested Doug. I'm not saying anything about Douglas. This is not anything. I don't even know Douglas, but we were on each other's friends lists. And then all of a sudden, I hear this radio show, and Douglas comes on this radio show, and then all of a sudden, Chris Geo, boom, takes him off and says, "We don't like divas." And then
But what was he being a diva about?
I
Sorry,
don't
I'm
know.
just yeah.
I honestly don't know.
Because it was off air. You reckon there was a conversation off air that made
No,
them
it was
say we're a
actually on air
diva?
because I heard it. It was on air because I heard it. And
I
and
wonder what
and then
that could be.
I sent it back. I just thought, well, this guy's on my friends list. He's never been in, and honestly, Douglas has never been any. He was never anything horrible on my friends list. He never
Yeah.
did anything bad. And so I thought, well, maybe I should warn this guy that the truth frequency, because first of all, at that point, the truth frequency, the Geos, Cristobal Castillo, has already threatened me. He's already called me a honeypot, and he's threatened my elderly mother. So what was I supposed to do? Here he is on the radio show calling someone who is on my Facebook friends list a diva.
So you're
So I,
just sticking up for him a bit. You
I
know?
was kind of sticking up for him. I don't know this guy. I don't know Douglas. He's on my friends list. So I said, hey, you might want to know that since they took you off the air, they just called you a diva on air.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. And that's it. And now suddenly, Christopher Everard has me associated with Michael Aquino.
Well, if we bothered to investigate it, and I don't know if he's still, is he on your current Facebook or on the one that got deactivated?
No.
I mean,
He was
it's
on.
a simple question, isn't it? You could say, well, why do you think they called you a diva? What was that? I wouldn't be at all surprised if it was something like, the guy said, well, am I going to get a fee, or can I advertise my stuff or something like that, and they went, fuck you. I would, because diva is like, trying to say like, oh, these people are, out there, being obnoxious, like I have a right to something, and it's usually connected with money, or something like that. Like the guy's gone, well, you promised me money for this show or something, or I was told that you might, or can I get some money for doing
Honestly,
this, or can I advertise my materials? And they went, fuck you, diva. I'm just
no
wondering,
idea.
question mark.
I have no idea. The only person I have ever met in person out of any of this truth movement is Christopher Everard. I have never met Chris Geo. I have never met Cherie Geo, and that's not their real names, by the way. I've never met Douglas. I don't know any of these people that Christopher Everard is suddenly, in the last 5 days, linking me with.
I'm just trying to think.
I don't know
scenarios.
these people.
What would be the scenarios? Would he say something like, hey, I'm happy to continue with this interview, but don't go down this avenue of conversation because that pisses me off. Now, some interviewers get really upset with that, and they go, don't you tell me what I can fucking do on my own radio show. I'll fucking do what I want. So that can be considered diva. Like, I will, the interviewee is trying to control the interviewer. Yeah.
Well,
and they kind of, they don't like that. So is it going to be money based? Is it going to be information based? Like, don't steer in this direction, or maybe sometimes people, this is a very common one I've come across, they go, well, I don't like the fact that you have X person on your show and you're going to speak to X person, so I will only continue this interview if you say that you won't speak to X person. That's a very common one.
I have no idea what it was.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm
all I
just
know,
supposition. I'm just guessing what could be the fucking reason for being accused to be a diva.
all I know,
Yeah.
and I don't
And I
even
bet
know.
you there's a good story behind it.
I bet
fucking
there
good
is.
story
I bet
behind
there's
it.
an awesome story behind it. But
Yeah.
all I know is that I heard this guy on the show for like all of 10 or 15 minutes And then Chris Geo
Cut
decides
off
to
after
boot him
10 or
off,
15 minutes.
calls him a diva, and then I was like, wait, that guy's on my friends
I
list.
bet you it's fucking money. I bet you it's money.
Who knows?
Because
I
it was
don't
cut off
know.
so quick. It was
I don't
like,
know.
you know, I'll only continue this if we have an agreement, you know, like of something. Yeah, I bet you. And yeah,
And I just thought,
I
I,
bet.
I just thought with my interactions with Chris Geo and like, hey, he's threatening me. He's threatening my elderly mother. I don't know this guy. He happens to be on my friends list, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to warn him. Like they just called him a diva on the radio. This could be bad. And so what I did was I posted a comment, and then all of a sudden now I'm suddenly they're linking me to Michael
Him.
Aquino.
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't even know this Michael Aquino. And
Sorry,
is he
I've gone off
dead?
topic. You're right. That's
Yeah.
the point here. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
I'm
it's like
just
they're
steering off in a
linking
different
me.
direction. Yeah.
They're linking me to Michael Aquino, and it's like I don't even know Michael Aquino. And isn't he dead? Is he dead?
I don't really know enough
I
about the
don't
guy
even
to
know.
say whether he's alive or
I
dead.
don't even know.
I
And
know
it's
the
like,
name though because wasn't Michael Aquino something to do with the Nazis?
no, he was because it says right here, Michael Aquino, who
Mind
has
control?
no, he was a Presidio naval base where several daycare children contracted sexually transmitted diseases while supposedly
Oh,
being
this,
cared for by professionals. I think he was a Satanist or something. I don't.
that
I don't know.
rings,
I don't want to
that
slander the guy. I don't know who that
might
guy is.
really that might be correct. The temple was founded. This is Wikipedia. The temple was founded by members of the Church of Satan. Anton LaVey, Michael Aquino. That's where I got it. It's not Nazis. It's
Oh,
Church of
that's
Satan.
typical Everard then. Typical Everard.
So-
Making everyone a Satanist
Hang
because I'm not a Satanist, and actually I'm gonna. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna come clean with everyone right now. I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
I'm a Christian. So you can hate me for that now. I'm a Christian.
Michael Aquino. Hasn't he got something else though? No. Here we are. Look, the second Google thing is exposing infragard.blogspot.com, and it goes on the case of Michael Aquino. Then it's from 2014. It says, for those who don't know, Michael Aquino was a psychological warfare specialist. So I was right. He was like, what did I can't remember the term I used, but like psyops or something like that. You know, he was like, was he psychological warfare? He was something to do with like the names of the projects. He was something to do with like not paperclip. It's the thing with LSD and fucking with people's heads.
I don't even know.
Something to do with it. Yeah, it's like finding ways to mind control people. Mind control. I think that's the term I use. Is mind control.
Oh, the MK Ultra shit.
MK Ultra. You got
Oh,
it. Yeah. Hang on. Now, if I click on this link, is it this?
Oh my God, I'm so sick of this crap in the truth movement that everyone against them is either MK Ultra or COINTELPRO or this and that. I don't know these people. I'm sick of I don't know this Jackie woman who's posting this about me. I don't know this Michael Aquino guy. I'm sick of Everard's slander. I'm tired of this crap.
Oh, here we are, 1980, MK Ultra. Yeah. No, he swore. No, look. 1980, according to sworn testimony given before a U.S. Senate in Leicester in later years, MK Ultra mind control victim Kathy O'Brien claimed that she was programmed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, by Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino. That's where I've heard this stuff from. Yeah. I knew I knew this name from somewhere. Michael Aquino. Oh well. Shall we carry on? Shall we skip to the next paragraph, or have we got more?
No, Matthew. Wait. No, we're not going to skip on this. Michael Aquino.
Right.
Michael Aquino. This is where I've heard the name. Michael Aquino was on the Geraldo show. I don't know if you know who Geraldo Rivera is in the UK.
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's Google him.
In the 80s, I think it was the 80s, Michael Aquino was on the Geraldo Rivera show with guess who?
Geraldo.
Ted Gunderson.
Michael Aquino, Ted Gunderson and a Jesuit on Geraldo. There's a YouTube video of it.
There you go. And who did Chris Everard say gave him the child porn? Ted Gunderson.
So it's all like, it's all steering down a very narrow channel
now
here, isn't
he's
it?
trying to associate me with Michael Aquino because he's trying to say he got the child porn from Ted Gunderson.